I have met Drake before though.
Oh, you met Drake?
Yeah, that's one of the best experiences in my life.
Tell me a little about that. Like, how did you encounter him?
Man, it was crazy. So when I knew he was coming to New Orleans, like I already had in my mind I was gonna meet him, and like I had my plan set. I was prepared, and so I was in the hallway. I met him. I had two brushes with him.
Okay, nice.
And so the first one was he was in the hallway. He just arrived to the stadium. Him and his crew walking back to the dressing rooms where he's gonna be at.
He's prepping.
Yeah, and so man, so that was my first glance, and I was just like, dang, that's really Drizzy right there,
right.
you know. And the thing was, he was like his demeanor was just like no. All business. He didn't look left. He didn't look right. He just looked straight to that tunnel. Yeah, he was going to his locker room, and so I couldn't say anything right then and there. So the way his show was set up, it was him and Future. It was 2016, Summer 16 Revenge Tour, and the way the show was set up, but he would come out, then he would take a little break. Future would come out, and then he would come back out.
Okay.
So he came out. He did his first set, and as he's leaving to go back to the locker room, I went back to the spot. As he walked, because he had to walk by me to get to the tunnel, and he walks by me, and I'm like, "Hey, good energy out there, Drizzy, man. For real, you put on the show." He was like, "Oh, thank you," and he's still, moving as he's talking to me. Like I said, Drizzy's all business, he ain't looking up the right. So I was like, "You believe everything happens for a reason?" And he was just about to get in the tunnel, and he kind of like came out. He's like, "Huh?" I was like, "You believe everything happens for a reason?" He was like, "Oh yeah, yes sir." And then he went back in the tunnel. He went, to the locker room.
Yeah.
So I was like, all right, cool, that's cool.
Had a little
exchange. Yeah. He came back out, did his thing. After the show, I went by his tour bus, and I just waited for him. And this was like, he came out probably like, it was like close to 2 a.m.
Whoa, wow.
And he walks out.
Yeah,
man, because the show ended probably like 10:30, 11-ish, 11:30 maybe. And so after the show, I waited around for a little bit, and I noticed his tour bus. So that's when I went over there by the tour bus, and I waited till like 2 a.m.
Wow.
He comes out, Jazz Prince comes out. Oh, and earlier in the show, I forgot this part, I saw his dad. And I recognized his dad, Mr. Dennis. And so I was like, hey, man, I feel like I'm going to meet Drake tonight and be a part of OVO and be the next person in the family. And so he just like said, "Oh yeah," and kept it moving. And so
you're gonna adopt me.
Yeah, I should have.
I'm your new son.
Yeah, I really should have told him that, man. But so the end of the night comes around. Drake comes out with his crew. It's him, Jazz Prince, who's the guy who's credited for discovering Drake. His dad, and, a bunch of just a couple other dudes in his posse. And so he's walking by me, and I told him again. I said, "You believe everything happens for a reason?" And he stopped. And he was like, "You asked me that already." So he remembered me. And I was like, yeah. I said, "What if I told you I was here to rap in front of you tonight? I want you to hear what I got to the,
wow.
It was his, I was prepared, man. I was ready for this moment. Like, I was prepared. And so he was like, I told him, I want you to hear what I got to that 4 p.m. in Calabasas beat. At the time, that was the best beat out. And so he was like, yeah. I could tell he was lit. His eyes was real red, real low. Yeah. I could tell he was drunk. He was high. And so he was like, "You got an album out?" And I was like, "Yeah, man, I just put an album out a couple years ago when I graduated school." He was like, "All right, cool. I'd rather hear your album than to hear you rap and just get back on my bus. So let my mans get your number." And it was Jazz Prince who took my number down. Wow. And got back on the bus, man, and we chopped it up. And his dad comes back around as Jazz is getting my number. Mr. Dennis comes around. He grabs me on the shoulder. He's like, "This young man said he's going to be the next one in the group." And I looked at him, I was like, "Man, I told you what I told you." And we all just started like laughing in a circle, man.
But really?
And it was so amazing ever since that moment, because like to really like see Drake and talk to him as a human being, like he was so down to earth, so cool. Like I said, he was like, "Man, let my man get your number," because I'd rather hear, and like I said, I could tell he was lit. But my biggest regret is letting him leave without hearing me rap, man, because I know if he did, he would have signed me that night,
Right.
So I wish I would have just been a little bit more persistent. But in my mind, I was going in like, I didn't want to do too much because I didn't want him to, I wanted him
push
to
him off.
Exactly.
Yeah,
so I was
be respectful.
I was calm, cool, collected, going with the flow. But I wish I would have been just a little bit more aggressive. Not anything crazy, but I wish I wouldn't have let him leave without hearing me rap, because that was a once in a lifetime opportunity, maybe, because that I feel like I was prepared for, I was ready for. I had my questions, I had my rap ready, you know, and everything. And that's one of my biggest blessings and one of my biggest regrets, just letting him leave. But that also motivated me in my music after that. I felt like I started writing better because I was just like, man, talking to him made me feel like I was like a part of his culture, like you know, like I was on the same level as him. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So after talking to him, that gave me confidence in myself. Like, man, I'm talking to Drake. You know what I mean? Like, I'm about to start going here and killing these raps. And I literally like that's when after I talked to him, I did notice like an elevation in my bars. Like my rhymes were increasing, and I started like really getting more into my music because I was like, oh, you know, I gotta be prepared when they call that number. I gotta be prepared. So man, I started stacking up on tracks, started writing better, man, and that moment really has been key to my life. Just meeting that man, shaking his hand, you know, having a conversation with him, incredible.
That's quite a story.
Yeah, incredible.
How many people really get to have a moment with Drake?
That's what I'm saying.
Like, and to, you know, I wonder if did you ever send him your album?
Man, unfortunately, that's another reason why I regret it. That never really transpired to anything. They never reached out to me, and I didn't get their number. You know, he just took my number down. So that never transpired into anything, and that's why I regret not being more aggressive. You know what I mean? Because that really should have changed my life forever. You know what I'm saying?
Right. But hey, I mean, I'm just thinking like, with all the stuff you have coming out like in the near future, what if he brushes your music past his ears and he's like,
everything happens for a reason, man.
Great. You know, he's like, you know, it's that kid, the one I talked to.
Exactly.
You know what I mean? He really wanted to share something, and I, you know,
straight up.
Like, and now I got to listen to him. And
straight up,
now
man.
He wants to reach out to you,
man.
You know,
I'm telling you, that's definitely a possibility. Like I said when I asked him the second time, do you believe everything happens for a reason? He said, you already asked me that. He remembered me, so I know I'm way back in that memory bank, Jersey, but I know I'm in that bitch, Jersey.
It's like, yes, him.
I know I'm in there, bro. But I think everything happens for a reason, and there's still opportunity for him to still hit me up or reach out to me because I know he'll be back in New Orleans sometime, and I'm gonna make sure I'm there prepared like I was the last time, you know. So,
but what's amazing now is that what you're putting out there or getting ready to release, it's like on a whole different level as compared to before. You know what I mean?
Fire.
So it's almost like he readied you for this
moment. Yeah, man.
Like you just needed that little inspiration to take it to the next level.
Straight up.
And it gave you that confidence
to
drive forward.
I agree with that 100%. Like I said, after I met him, man, I was just so hype on life. Like I felt so good about myself because it's not like it was just a handshake, you know, and boom, boom, boom. We had like real conversations. He asked me about my music. Mr. Dennis came, put his arms around me, you know, hugging me up and stuff. You know what I mean? We was laughing. Jazz Prince got my number. Like it was just an incredible experience that I don't take for granted. I'm so happy I was there and happy I was prepared, you know, because anybody could have been there in that situation and not been prepared. But like the moment I looked on the calendar and saw he was coming in, it was September 2nd, the day after my birthday too.
Wow.
The day after my birthday,
that's
man.
Such a great gift.
You know what I'm saying? The day after my birthday. So September 2nd, 2016, a day I never forget.
My gosh.
Never forget.
That's